Welcome to Tommy Threads. In this video, we're talking about a guy who thought he could get away with everything. He made her life hell for years, but she stayed quiet, watched, and took notes. And when the timing was right, she flipped the script legally. Post 1. His abuse led to my mom's death, so I took his house. TLDR, my abusive ex-stepfather delayed my mother's chemo treatments, and that led to her death. Courts agree with me, but apparently, they can't do anything, so I took everything he owned legally. So let's get this out of the way. I'm 34 female, my mom is 55 female, and my now ex-stepdad is 65 male. They co-owned the home as joint tenants, and everything they had together was 50-50 at this point in time. Let's call my ex-stepfather L. My mom and L have been married for 16 to 17 years. There had always been questionable behavior, but it was none of my business as I moved out at 18. Well, at 27, I decided I wanted to go to college to better myself. My mom and L both agreed and offered me and my small family the basement apartment in their home. 1.5 years into my program, my mom was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. A week before she was due to have surgery to remove the tumors, one of the big ones ruptured. One thing led to another, and my mom's cancer spread. She was re-diagnosed with a different kind of cancer, a rare one in the connective tissue. She was given a 2-year estimate without treatment. Now, this is where L starts becoming abusive. He was at the appointment with my mom and had a full-blown tantrum. Note, I have my mother's medical notes and a doctor who recorded all of this. It's important later. And said, his wife won't be doing crap. He stormed out of the room, and my mom told the doctor, also in the medical notes, that she feared her life because she knew if she didn't do the treatments, she would die. But she also knew L wouldn't let her. L became abusive, verbally, mentally, and physically. He drained her joint bank account, so my mom couldn't even buy herself bread. He cut the brake lines on her car, and more, and did everything in his power to stop her from doing treatments. She was supposed to have treatments twice a week, every week. She maybe made it to half of them, and only when my spouse or I could drive her. Eventually, my mom moved into my unit in the basement, and I started defending her. I told L, if you don't stop, I will do everything in my power to ensure you're held responsible for her death. He laughed and said, "You're a woman. What can you do to me?" His abuse then extended toward me pretty much whenever he could. Well, I hired my mom a lawyer and changed my program to criminal law as best as I could so I could learn everything about how the system works. I then started collecting evidence. It took 8 months using security cameras I installed in the home. L knew about these cameras. I hid nothing. He was aware he was on camera and in certain areas of the house. During this time, I was pre-approved by the bank to purchase his 50% of the house. All he had to do was sign one piece of paper. Within 30 days, he could have had $250,000. He refused, saying, "You're not going to get my house when I'm going to put your whole family on the street." Yes, that was all caught on camera. L was served a summons from my lawyer to attend court with us. He refused and said he knew more than the lawyers and wouldn't show. Because of that, we won in court. Sole possession of the house was given to my mom. All his assets were locked under her supervision to prevent him from liquidating anything. He was hit with a restraining order and not allowed near the house of my mom. He was evicted by the police that night. Locks were changed, etc. With him gone, we got my mom onto ODSP. She could finally and safely start treatments, thanks to transportation support from ODSP and cancer societies. My lawyer and my mom also broke the joint tenancy and made it tenants in common. This is super important. While she was still lucid, my mom set everything so that if and when she passed, the house and everything she owned would come to me. Quick Canada real estate explainer. Joint tenancy means the house passes automatically to the spouse if one dies. Tenants in common means each party owns their share separately, and it passes by will. Google if you want more info. In the 2 years before my mom eventually lost her fight to cancer, we kept going to court with L. He kept refusing to deal or even sign divorce papers. I became her full-time caregiver. Closer to the end, L told not only to my lawyer, but also the judge in a court settlement meeting that he refused to sign or deal with anything and would wait for my mom to die and take everything. He was told by 2 lawyers and a judge that it wasn't going to happen. He laughed. And that was the last anyone heard from him. My mom passed away this year, not from cancer directly, but from a complication caused by it. A tumor ruptured and caused an upper GI bleed. She died in my arms. There was nothing I could do. I was diagnosed with PTSD from the trauma. This is also important, but I still managed to handle everything. L changed all his contact info and hasn't updated the courts on his whereabouts. After my mom passed, her lawyer took her will and we filed through probate. Since my mom had been granted sole possession of the home, and based on the will and all the prior legal groundwork. Everything was transferred to me. I signed some paperwork for the judges, and everything was done legally and properly. I also submitted all of my mom's medical notes, including the original one that documented Elle's tantrum and her fears. Unfortunately, both my lawyer and the judge agreed they couldn't hold him criminally responsible for her death, but they all said his actions led to it. I'm still in court trying to push for criminal charges. My lawyer says it's a 60-40 shot based on the evidence and confessions we got. The home and everything she owned are now mine. I'm the registered owner with sole physical possession. I also received her life insurance. It went straight to paying off her debts, including their joint credit lines. So everything Elle thought he would get by waiting for her to die went to me, approved by the judge. I even agreed with the courts, because I'm not a bad person, that I'd honor the 50% buyout we had initially discussed. But any debt Elle owes will be deducted from that balance. We're not reappraising the home because it needs major renovations, which I'm paying for. He now owes me over $50,000 and counting, including joint mortgage payments, the joint line of credit, and renovation cost. My lawyer also wanted to go after him for 50% of all legal fees and losses tied to my PTSD, but we have to find him first. My province only allows 2 years for a court claim to stay open. Since Elle hasn't shown up, his claim to get the house back was thrown out. I showed up. He didn't. The court marked his case as abandoned. After some internet digging, a friend found out Elle fled to Mexico, violating the court order that barred him from leaving Canada. That's a whole other legal issue, and my lawyer is handling it. Until he returns, the courts aren't too concerned. If he dies in Mexico, my lawyer and the judge have said we'll petition the court for his estate and use that to cover 50% equity against the debt he owes. I still own the house. I have sole possession, and legally, it's mine. If he comes back, he'll face consequences for fleeing, and if he tries to reopen a claim, he can't. The court labeled it abandoned, which blocks him from filing again. He'll either have to take the deal, or I pursue his estate. Either way, he's never getting possession of this house again. So yeah, I'm still in court trying to hold him responsible. The courts and lawyers are all on my side. They were the ones who granted me this house and everything else. I legally took everything from him because his actions delayed my mother's treatment, and ultimately, they killed her. Man, I don't really know what to say. It's a really unfortunate story, and I'm just glad you were able to settle things properly and legally. Law can be pretty tricky, but you seem to have the weight of heaven on your side, with the judges and lawyers all agreeing that you were in the right. I hope your mother's soul can rest properly, and whatever your scumbag father decides to do, I hope the full weight of justice give him what he deserves. Post 2. Our next post is from Offline Angel. My ex cheated, so I made him think he was being stalked on campus. To this day, he has no idea it was me. When I say I don't do screaming matches or begging after being disrespected, I mean it. My ex was emotionally and verbally abusive for most of our relationship. Manipulative, cruel, gaslighty, the works. We were long distance at the time because we had gone away for college and I was living in another state. And then, surprise, surprise, I found out he was cheating. That was the last straw for me. But I wasn't going to go out with a dramatic breakup. I wanted him haunted, so I spent months quietly collecting receipts. I paid attention to everything. The names of the girls he followed, locations he popped on Snap Map. He turned off his actual location for me. But that idiot forgot Snapchat. Bars and hangout spots around campus. Mutuals. Everything. I memorized names. I saved info. I was building a case file like a damn detective. And then came the fun part. I made a fake Instagram account, posing as a frat guy from his school. Then, I texted myself from the account, pretending to be some random dude saying, "Hey, I have proof your boyfriend's cheating on you." Of course, I was the one behind it all. The moment he saw it, he panicked, immediately told me to block the account, stop replying. He was going off. I acted confused and hurt the whole time. Then, I sent myself a long message from the fake account detailing everything. The name of the bar he always went to, the names of the girls he followed, places I said I saw him at. Stuff there's no way a stranger should have known. He genuinely thought he was being stalked and followed. He spiraled hard, ended up fully confessing to all the cheating, and even went on to a campus police, convinced someone was after him. Spoiler, no one ever caught me. Nothing ever came of it. And now, he still tries to reach out to this day with long, dramatic apologies and regrets. And he still doesn't know that the random frat bro who exposed him was me the whole damn time. Well, that's actually insane. I'm not even gonna lie. The level of planning and patience you had, that's pretty next level. You really played the long game and let him fall on his own mess. Honestly, respect. He sounds like a straight up jerk, cheating, lying, gaslighting, and you handle it without making a scene or losing your cool. That takes serious control. You didn't just walk away, you made sure he felt it, without even knowing where it was coming from. I mean, the fact he was out here losing his mind, going to campus police, thinking some random dude was following him and it was you the whole time? That's wild. You pulled it off like a pro. Kinda crazy, kinda genius. Post 3. The next post is from Coca Butter Baby 20. You want us to break up? Fine. My mother-in-law is truly awful. She constantly makes remarks about me not deserving my fiancé. We're kind of a modern couple. He brings in about 70% of the money and does around 30% of the household chores, and I do the rest. It's not exact math, of course, but we're both content with the workload and how we split the bills. My mother-in-law thinks I should be doing all the chores and refers to my job as just a small part-time gig, something I should be grateful to do as long as I don't neglect my duties. My fiancé disagrees with her, but going low contact is hard because his father is still around, and his brother's wife and I have grown really close. So my fiancé, his brother, his sister-in-law, and I schemed. We planned for me to break up with him in front of his mom, to leave behind a chaotic scene that might finally get through to her. At New Year's, when she made another snide comment about how it's time for him to find a traditional wife, I agreed and broke it off right then and there. She was immediately stunned and tried to walk it back. My fiancé put on a full-blown meltdown, begging me to stay. Then, out of nowhere, my brother-in-law and his wife asked my mother-in-law if she was racist. They didn't tell me about that part of the plan, but it was funny because she never really seemed racist in any actual way. She started panicking as I stormed out. My fiancé moved back home and began hounding her to do everything I usually do. Cooking, helping him with his New York Times puzzles, steaming his clothes, and constantly saying she owed him for making me leave. So now this woman has been calling me nonstop, begging to talk. And after just 8 days, she showed up at my job to apologize, complete with a confession that absolutely blew me away. She actually admitted that she thought I loved him enough to let her say whatever she wanted without consequence. She assumed that pushing me around would make me do more for her son so he could have more time for her and more time to relax. My fiancé works long hours because buying a home is a big goal for us. I work doubles too, but she thinks customer service isn't as hard as IT, even though, let's be real, working with the public is exhausting. She cried, begged me to take him back, and even called him lazy. When I reluctantly agreed, she promised to leave me alone. The next day, she sent me a gift basket with C's candy in it. My fiancé later admitted that starting on the second day, he intentionally became extra needy with her just to drive her crazy and push her to apologize faster because he missed me. Real good stuff, man. A fake breakup that was perfectly executed and your fiancé putting a full meltdown? Iconic. Mother-in-law had no idea who she was messing with, and you played it smart, turned her own behavior against her and made her actually face it. And the fact that she admitted she thought you'd just take the disrespect? Pretty nuts. Honestly, really cool for how you were able to handle it. Tactical, clean, and kinda hilarious. Post 4. Next up, a story from very cute Aja Bar de Chut. My neighbor blocked my driveway one too many times, so I had his car towed during his Tinder date. My neighbor's the type of guy who thinks rules are for other people. An arrogant 6-foot-something hunk in his mid-20s. He constantly parks in front of my driveway, completely blocking it, despite multiple warnings, notes, and in-person, "Hey, man, seriously, stop," conversations. His excuse? I'm just here for a bit. A bit apparently means eternity, like 3 to 5 hours every damn time. Last week, I came home and, surprise, he's there again, blocking my driveway with his crusty silver sedan. I saw him through the window getting ready. Cologne and everything. He's going out. I decided tonight's the night, so I did what I should have done weeks ago. I called a tow truck. No warnings, no notes, just straight up got it towed. About 45 minutes later, I'm sitting on my porch drinking a beer when a random girl walked up the sidewalk, clearly dressed for a date. She knocked on his door. He came out smiling, then his car was gone. She's confused. He's flipping out, looking around like someone robbed him. I casually said, "If you're looking for your car, it got towed. You're blocking my driveway." Again. He tried to argue, but the girl cut in and went, "Wait, you parked in front of his driveway?" He tried to explain, but she just said, "Wow, that's trash," and walked off. I haven't seen him block my driveway since, and he hasn't brought another girl home after that. His confidence took a major hit. That's pretty poetic. You didn't yell, you didn't make a scene, you let the consequences speak for themselves. Man blocked your driveway one too many times, so you hit him where it hurt. His car and his ego. And the fact that it all went down right before a date, pretty cinematic. Her reaction was awesome. Hearing a girl call you trash isn't exactly what you want to hear before a date. His car, his swagger, and a night with his lovely lady, all gone. All in one night. Post 5. The next story is from Slickster66er. Steal a parking spot from a disabled person. Pay up, Karen. Not my story, 28 male, but my mom's, 58 female. Last week, I went to Costco to run some errands. I have a GI condition, which allows me to park in the disabled parking spaces, so I started pulling into one of the only spots left until I see a van also approaching, with a disability placard hanging from their mirror. I figured since it's a van, they probably have someone in a wheelchair inside. So I thought, I could walk a few more feet. They deserve the spot more than me. I started backing out to give them the space. And then, enter the entitled Karen. As I backed out to give the van room, this woman in a pristine Cadillac sedan without a disabled parking placard whipped in between my car and the van and parked in the disabled spot. Both the van driver and I were understandably pissed, but only the van driver got out and confronted her. I'm usually the pick your battles kind of guy, so I stepped back and watched from a distance. Karen started going off, probably projecting. I couldn't hear every word, but there's no way she could have justified that move. One thing I did notice, she had a Canadian license plate. We live in Florida. I thought it was funny given how Canadians are stereotyped as super friendly, which was the complete opposite of her behavior. So Canada Karen stormed into the store, and the van lady picked up her phone and called someone, probably the police. I wanted to tell her she'd be better off getting an employee because our police dispatch is usually slow, and Karen would have been long gone by the time they showed up. But weirdly enough, didn't even take 5 minutes before a patrol unit showed up. Karen didn't return to her car until a few minutes after the cop had already arrived. This time, I walked over and gave the officer my side of the story, since I was a witness. And then, Canada Karen showed up. Here's how it went. Officer, ma'am, you do understand that 1. You almost hit these 2 vehicles, and 2. You cannot park in a disabled parking spot if you are not authorized or don't have a placard. Canada Karen. Oh no, you're totally misreading the situation. These 2 were fighting over the spot, and while they were, I just pulled in. No harm done, right? Cue the gaslighting. Me, no. I was letting her park her car because she needed the spot more than I did. I motioned to the van lady's grandson. He had cerebral palsy and was wheelchair bound. Canada Karen. Clearly, you don't even look disabled. Classic Karen line. If she could park here, why can't I park here too? Officer, ma'am, I noticed you have Ontario plates. How long have you been in the States? Karen started sweating, probably thinking he's about to ask her immigration status or something. Canada Karen. Well, you see, I moved in with my husband. He's American and... Officer, ma'am, this car is registered to you, not your husband, and you still haven't answered my question. How long have you lived here in the States? Canada Karen. Oh, about a year. Big mistake. Officer, ma'am, according to Florida law, any non-U.S. citizen living in a state longer than 6 months must register their vehicle within 10 days of entering the country. You understand that, correct? If her jaw dropped any lower, it would have hit the pavement. Officer, I'm afraid I'll need to write you up for $500 for failing to register your vehicle, and an additional $250 for unauthorized parking in a disabled space. When the officer handed Karen her ticket, she snatched it from his hand and stormed back into her car, still angry, but now thoroughly embarrassed. Before I finally went inside to do my shopping, I approached a van lady and asked if she needed any more help. She thanked me and said she was all right. I told her I was amazed at how fast the cops showed up, and that's when she dropped this on me. She didn't call 911. She called her own son, who just so happens to be the police chief of our town. Yep, the boy with cerebral palsy, that's his son. And the moment we heard that some out-of-line woman stole a disabled spot from his own child, who couldn't even speak up for himself, he immediately sent a unit to the store. Turns out, the police station is just up the road. So once Karen left, with a $750 butthole tax in tow, the van lady and her grandson were finally able to park and continue their day. And I went on with mine. Moral of the story, don't create drama if you don't want karma. That was pretty crazy. You backing out to give the van space? Solid move. Then Karen pulls up with zero placard, blocks a disabled kid and tries to gaslight her way out of it? Nuts. And the twist, van lady didn't call the cops. She called her son, who's the police chief? Oh, come on. Now, I don't want to accuse anyone of faking stories, but hey, you're pretty suspect there. Get it? Anyway, $750 ticket and public embarrassment? Well, that Karen earned every single bit of it. Karma hit fast, and pretty hard, and pretty expensive. Post 6. The next post is from NoTaste9869. A guy left me stranded on a first date. I, 19 female, went on a date with a guy, 19 male, for the first time. It was a beautiful day where we lived, so he took me to this nature park and we went on a walk. We talked about our lives and honestly, I thought it was going really well. After the walk, he said he needed to use the bathroom. I did too, so he drove us to the nearest store where we could go, which ended up being a Best Buy. I went to the bathroom, and he did too. When I came out, I waited, and waited, and waited some more for him to come out. Finally, I got worried and texted him. The message didn't go through, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe his phone died. I got tired of waiting and decided to check the parking lot to see if his car was still there. Sure enough, If it wasn't, I went back inside and asked the person at the front if they'd seen a man matching his description leave the store. They said they saw him run out of the store in a hurry not long ago. So yeah, he left me stranded at a freaking Best Buy 20 minutes from my house. I Ubered home, pissed, so I decided to find one of his family members on social media and tell them what he did. Eventually, I found someone who I thought was his sister. I told her the whole story. She made sure I got my stuff back since I had a few things still in his car, and even offered to reimburse me for the Uber. Some may think I'm crazy, but when someone goes low, I go lower. I got my things back, by the way. They were clearly thrown in my yard out of a window. Somebody was mad their family now knows what kind of a piece of trash they really are. That guy really bathroom ghosted you? At a Best Buy? Oh man, trash. Who does that? Like, you're out on a wholesome walk, having a good time, and he just dips mid-date like it's a Mission Impossible scene? I know you said that every time someone goes low, you go lower. That wasn't low. You could have done so much worse than that. I think he deserves so much worse than that for his trash behavior. And him baby boy tantrum throwing his bags in your garage. Freaking pathetic, man. I know he dodged you on a date, but honestly, I think you dodged a bigger red flag. Thanks for watching Tommy Threads. If you enjoyed these stories of savage comebacks and justice delivered, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an epic tale of revenge. Had a moment where karma hit just right? Share your stories in the comments below.